At my son's funeral, his ex-wife, the one who abandoned him 15 years ago, walked in wearing black and demanded the $24 million he left me. I said no. The next day she showed up with her lawyer, but when she saw who was standing behind me on the porch, her smile vanished. At my own son's funeral, as I stood shattered by grief, his ex-wife, the woman who abandoned him 15 years ago, walked in, draped in black, pretending to mourn. Then, with a cold smile, she demanded the $24 million he had left. Me. I said no, but the very next day she arrived with her lawyer. Before we dive in, if you're listening from your city country, hit subscribe for more stories like this. Like if you'd stand your ground, comment your move, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. I thought losing my son was the worst pain I could feel. I was wrong. My name is Eleanor, and I'm 73 years old. I never thought I'd outlive my only son, Michael. From the day he was born, I devoted every piece of myself to raising him right. His father passed when Michael was just 7, so it was just the two of us against the world. I worked double shifts as a nurse, saved every penny, and still found the energy to cheer him on at every soccer game, every school play. He was my pride, my anchor. When Michael married young, I was hopeful. His wife, Anna, seemed charming at first, but beneath her smile, I sensed a restlessness. She wasn't interested in building a home. She was interested in what Michael could provide. For years, I watched my son bend over backward to keep her happy, only for her to grow colder. The night she walked out on him, leaving only a note. On the kitchen counter, Michael called me in tears. I held him as he cried, promising him he'd get through it, and he did. Michael built himself back up from nothing. He studied tirelessly, started his own business, and eventually turned it into a success story. With sheer determination, he amassed wealth most could only dream of. But he never forgot where he came from. Even after his company grew, he came home for Sunday dinners, still kissed my forehead, and still called me Mama with that boyish grin. Then came the car accident, the phone call that shattered my world. Losing him felt like losing my very reason for living. The only thing that gave me strength was knowing his final wishes. He had left everything to me. Not out of greed, but because he knew I would protect what he built and honor his memory. But nothing prepared me for who would walk into his funeral or the chaos she would bring with her. The church was quiet, the air thick with the smell of lilies and candle wax. People whispered prayers. Some dabbed their eyes, others patted my shoulder gently as I sat in the front pew, clutching the folded flag they had handed me. My son's picture rested on the casket, his smile frozen in time. And then the doors creaked open. High heels clicked against the marble floor. Every head turned. It was Anna. She wore a long black dress, her makeup flawless, her expression solemn, as if she had been the grieving widow all along. My chest tightened, rage battling grief. This was the woman who had abandoned my son when he needed her most, and now she dared to stand among us? After the service, she approached me. Her eyes flicked toward the casket briefly before settling on me. With a sickly sweet smile, she whispered, "I'm here for what Michael left behind. The house, the $24 million. It should all be mine." I could barely breathe. My grip on the folded flag tightened until my knuckles turned white. Through clenched teeth, I managed, "You'll get nothing." Her smile faltered just for a second before she leaned closer. "We'll see about that," she hissed. The next morning, I found out what she meant. A car pulled into my driveway, and out stepped Anna, this time with a lawyer at her side. She was confident, smug, convinced she would intimidate me into handing over everything. But what she didn't know was who I had waiting behind the porch door. And when she saw him step forward, her smile vanished. When Anna showed up with her lawyer, I didn't flinch. My porch light cast a glow over the wooden steps as I opened the door, and there stood Harold, Michael's longtime attorney and, over the years, a trusted family friend. He had handled every part of my son's business and estate planning, and he knew exactly what Michael wanted. Anna's confident stride faltered the second she saw him. The color drained from her face, and for once, she was speechless. Harold adjusted his glasses calmly, his voice steady. "Ms. Anna, I suggest you reconsider whatever you think you're here for." Her lawyer tried to jump in. "We're here to discuss the distribution of assets. As Michael's former spouse, Anna is entitled to nothing," Harold cut in sharply. He handed over a thick folder of documents, each signed and notarized. Michael updated his will after the divorce. He left everything to his mother, Eleanor. Every account, every property, every cent. You have no legal standing. I watched. Anna's smirk vanished like smoke in the wind. But I wasn't done. That night, after she stormed off my porch with promises to fight this, I sat down with Harold to make sure my son's legacy stayed untouchable. Step 1. Fortify the estate. We immediately moved all liquid assets into a trust that bore only my name. Harold made sure the paperwork was airtight, inaccessible to anyone but me. Step 2. Protect the house. The house Michael had bought me was transferred into an irrevocable trust. Even if Anna tried to play dirty in court, she couldn't touch. It's step 3. Secure his business. Legacy Michael's company shares were placed under professional management, with Harold overseeing everything. Profits would continue to come in, but Anna would never see a dime. While these legal moves happened quietly, I prepared myself emotionally too. Anna had underestimated me. She thought an old woman grieving her son would be weak, vulnerable. But she forgot. I had raised Michael through every storm life threw at us. Strength was not new to me, it was my survival. That week, I also gathered allies. Harold was my legal shield, but Michael's closest friend, Daniel, became my rock. He had been like a second son to me. And when he heard Anna was trying to claw her way back into Michael's wealth, he swore he wouldn't let her tarnish his friend's memory. "She doesn't deserve to even say his name, Eleanor," he said. His jaw set. With Harold and Daniel by my side, I felt a surge of control return. No matter what Anna tried, she would find the doors locked, the accounts frozen, the power stripped from her hands. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. Anna wasn't the type to give up easily. Her greed had already dragged her back into our lives after 15 years. And greedy people? They fight hardest when they know they're losing. I thought securing the estate would stop her, but instead it pushed her to fight dirtier than ever. I should have known Anna wouldn't. Walk away quietly. Within days, she launched her first strike, a guilt-ridden phone call late at night. "Eleanor," she purred through the receiver, her voice dripping with fake concern. "I know you're hurting. I lost Michael too, remember? He was my husband. Once. We should be grieving together and sharing what he left behind. He'd want us both cared for." My jaw clenched. Her words stabbed like glass. She didn't even have the decency to acknowledge the years she abandoned him, the years he cried himself to sleep because of her. I cut her off coldly. "You lost. You're right to Michael the night you walked out. Don't call here again." And I slammed the phone down. That was attempt 1, emotional manipulation. Next came the crocodile tears. Attempt 2. She showed up uninvited at my doorstep, clutching flowers, mascara running down her cheeks. I was foolish back then, Eleanor. "Please, I've changed. Let's talk. Maybe split the inheritance, 50-50. That way we can both heal." I stared at her, at the audacity written across her face. Before I could answer, Daniel stepped onto the porch, arms folded. "Leave," he said firmly. "You've done enough damage." Her expression twisted instantly, the mask dropping. "You'll regret this," she spat before storming off. But her biggest play came a week later. Attempt 3. She called for a family mediation at the courthouse, dragging her lawyer along. She even invited some distant relatives, trying to make it look like I was the selfish one keeping Michael's fortune for myself. The room buzzed with tension as she stood and declared, "Michael was my husband for years. By rights, I deserve a share of his estate. Eleanor is hoarding money that should support me too." Whispers spread among the relatives. For a moment, I felt the weight of their judging eyes. But Harold calmly rose to his feet, holding up the will. This document was updated after the divorce. It explicitly removes Anna from any claims. Legally and morally, she has no standing here. Anna's face reddened. She tried to fight back with dramatics. "So you'll just let an old woman keep millions while I struggle? Michael would hate this." My hands shook under the table, but I forced myself to meet her gaze. "No, Anna. Michael hated liars. He hated abandonment. And he hated the way you treated him. That's why he left it all to me." Gasps rippled through the room. For once, she had no retort. But as I walked out of the courthouse that day, I caught the venom in her glare. She wasn't finished. Her pride had been wounded, her greed denied. And people like Anna, they become dangerous when they're cornered. And then she made the mistake that sealed her fate. It was a gray morning when the storm finally broke. I was in the garden, trimming the roses Michael had planted years ago, when a black SUV pulled into my driveway. Out stepped Anna. No lawyer this time, no tears, no pretenses. Just rage. She marched up the path, her heels stabbing the earth like daggers. "You think you've won, Eleanor?" she hissed. "You think you can erase me? I gave Michael the best years of his life. That money is mine, and I'll take it by any means necessary." I set the shears down, my heart pounding. Behind me, the porch door creaked open, and Harold stepped out. But it wasn't Harold's presence that stopped Anna in her tracks. It was Daniel, towering behind him, his face carved with steel. He folded his arms across his chest. "You should leave," Daniel said coldly. "Now." Anna's eyes darted between us, her bravado cracking. Still, she tried to push forward. "Michael would have wanted me taken care of. He would never let you hoard his legacy." I stepped forward, my voice trembling but sharp. "No, Anna. Michael wanted his legacy protected. From you. You abandoned him when he needed you most. You don't get to play the grieving widow now." Her lips curled into a snarl. "You bitter old woman. You can't fight me forever." That was when Harold held up the final blow, a thick envelope. "Actually, we can. Michael recorded a video will before he died. He wanted his words heard, in case someone like you showed up." Anna froze. Harold slipped a USB drive into a laptop he had brought, and Michael's face flickered onto the screen. His voice, steady and calm, filled the air. "If you're watching, it means I'm gone. Mom, everything I built is for you. You stood by me when no one else did. Anna, if you're here, know this. You are not entitled to a single cent. You left me. You don't get to come back for the money. This is my final wish." Anna's knees buckled. Her face drained of all color. The fight left her eyes as Michael's words cut deeper than any lawyer ever could. I felt tears stream down my face, but this time, they weren't just grief. They were vindication. My son had spoken for me, even from the grave. Anna staggered back, her voice barely a whisper. "This isn't fair. This isn't fair." She turned, stumbling toward her car. Daniel stepped forward, but I raised a hand. "Let her go. She's already lost." As the SUV roared out of the driveway, a weight lifted from my chest. For the first time since Michael's death, I felt a strange sense of peace. For the first time in years, I felt completely free. 3 months passed after that final confrontation, and life began to settle into a new rhythm. The house, no longer felt like a battlefield. The echo of Michael's laughter still lingered in the hallways, but now, instead of making me break down, it gave me strength. His memory wasn't just tied to the pain of losing him, it was also tied to the victories we had won in his name. Anna never came back. After the video will was revealed, her lawyer dropped her case immediately. Word spread through the family and community that she had been written out of Michael's life long before he died. Whatever reputation she had tried to reclaim was destroyed in a single stroke. I later heard she sold her apartment to cover her mounting debts and left town. For someone who had always lived off others, losing access to Michael's wealth was the final humiliation. As for me, I decided to honor Michael the way he would have wanted. I took a portion of the inheritance and started a scholarship in his name for underprivileged kids who dreamed of studying business. Watching the first group of students receive their awards filled my heart with a pride I hadn't felt in years. It was as though Michael's spirit was alive in each of them. Resilient, determined, hopeful. Daniel became like a second son to me. He checked in often, made sure I wasn't alone, and even helped manage the foundation. His loyalty reminded me of the kind of friends Michael had chosen, people of honor, people who stood by you when times got hard. With him and Harold beside me, I never felt abandoned. And me? I learned to live again. I started gardening more, hosting quiet dinners with close friends, and even volunteering at the local church. Grief never truly disappears, but it softens when replaced by purpose. The biggest lesson I carried with me was this: money doesn't reveal character, it exposes it. Anna's greed showed who she had always been, while Michael's love, even in death, showed me how deeply he valued loyalty and sacrifice. In the end, justice wasn't about courts or lawyers. It was about truth. Michael's truth, my truth, and the truth that when you stop paying for love, you see who truly loves you. And as I stood in my garden one quiet evening, watching the sun set over the roses Michael had planted, I whispered to the sky, "Don't worry, son, your legacy is safe with me." When people show you who they are, believe them. Greed may knock at your door, but love and loyalty will always stand guard. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more, hit like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And in the comments, tell me what topic you'd like the next story on and rate this one out of 10.